We're back with our next guest. We have with us Brooklyn's own Sal Abruscato from Pale Horse Named Death. Welcome to the show, Sal.
Hi, how's it going?
Going great. So, Sal, prior to A Pale Horse Named Death, you were in Typo Negative and then Life of Agony. What prompted you to want to form this band, and what did you wish to accomplish with this band?
It started out as a concept back in 2009, and I was toying around with the idea of recording this heavy music, heavy doom, not even doom, I don't know what to call it, but it was originally intended just to be a studio project. At the same time I was writing this material, I was going through a divorce in my previous marriage. And so that helped fuel a bit of angst and purpose to want to get something accomplished. And then later on, my wife, who was my girlfriend then, my current wife, she was the only one I played some of this material for. And she was like, wow, this is so cool. You should really do something with it. And then it led to me talking to my friend Matt Brown, who then heard the stuff and he was like, dude, we got to do it. He's an amazing producer, engineer, musician. So he ended up becoming like my partner with the first two records. And I didn't expect anything. I really didn't. I'm one of those types of people that, like anybody that's going out in front of the world is afraid of rejection. And so it was intended to be a studio project. Me being a multi-instrumentalist, I pretty much play everything on all the records. So it wasn't a big deal not having a band. We did have special guest appearances, like Bobby Hamble from Biohazard stepped in and did some guitar solos for us. I did have Keith Caputo at the time, before she became Mina, come in and do some harmonies on the vocals with some songs, just to have a little variety of stuff. We even had Lou Reed's saxophone player perform on a song called Die Alone. So his name was Ulrich Krieger. So it was like this cool studio project of like famous musicians stepping in. And that's how it was. And I thought I was just gonna make my own CDs and release it. We did do that, and we had for a short period of time some original versions of the first album that we were selling on a website. And then SPV heard it and were interested in releasing the record as a real record internationally. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I mean, I know I've done records in Life of Agony and Typo Negative, but that was because I was the drummer and these bands are well known. But this music that I'm writing from scratch and doing vocals and playing all this stuff and not being just the main drummer only, I thought it was a super cool adventure that I had no idea I was going to end up doing a second record. I had no idea I was going to then later on do a third, and now I'm here at a fourth record. Long story short, agent asked me that was working with me at that time. He's like, do you want to play a show? And I was like, I don't know. What kind of show? And he's like, well, you could open up a show in New Jersey for Monster Magnet. Open up for Monster Magnet. I'm like, when's the show? Oh, it's in 6 weeks. 6 weeks? I don't even have a band. Are you serious, dude? I really, literally, crap myself. So here I am. A few weeks prior to that, I was at a barbecue at Johnny Kelly's house. He heard I played him some stuff. He really liked it a lot. Because, yeah, of course, the material from the beginning was in this typo-esque vein. Right. So it's where I'm from. That's what he was involved with. So he was like, if you do something, let me know. I'd like to maybe get involved. And so then I had asked him, can you do this show? I asked Bobby Hamble to fly in from Florida to fill in on guitar. Matt played guitar. And I knew Eric Morgan at that time from back in the old days in the neighborhood. I asked him if he wanted to step in. And that's what we did. And it was pretty much very much obvious it was my first show. I was a lot nervous, but the crowd was super cool. And it was, I guess, the right kind of crowd, being a Monster Magnet crowd. Right. And we played 5-6 songs, and that was it. That was the beginning of, hey, you know what? I think I might be able to pull the live thing off too. So we did a lot of, in the early days, A Pale Horse Named Death did a lot of cool stuff. and touring, and we were out there a lot. We did a Danzig tour for 7 weeks on the second record. So long story short, yeah. So
and now you're in front instead of in the back. What was the transition like for you now from sitting down in the back for almost all your career to now you're standing up in front?
Oh, yeah. But you know something? I have nothing against sitting in the back, because when you're sitting in the back, it's almost like I always felt like I was driving the bulldozer when I was playing drums in his bands, because I was really controlling things. But going to the front is a whole nother animal. And you know what? Being an introvert in society in general, like this allowed me to kind of connect with people and be that weird extrovert that wouldn't work if I'm in the grocery store. You know what I mean? So they're two totally different animals, but I do like talking to the audience. I do crack a lot of jokes for some reason. You know, the dark humor of Brooklyn always comes out of me. So I do like making people laugh after singing a super depressing song. It seems to go hand in hand. And I love playing guitar, and I love feedback, and I love making noise, and I like being brutally raw and emotional. I'm not putting up a front. I don't consider myself like some super duper frontman guy. I'm just up there giving myself therapy and helping everyone else with therapy, conveying these lyrics that might help people and help myself. And just, it's an honor to even have, whether it's 50 people, 100 people, or 500 people, whatever it is, there to hear this music that I stayed up all night writing or put my words down. Is the reward is priceless. It's not about money. It's a labor of love. So the reward is priceless when I hear fans say, I really like this song, or this song really helped me get through a rough time in my life. Or even I've had people say this song has kind of made me think twice about killing myself. Oh. So
that's pretty impactful.
I kind of feel like I'm some type of prophetic therapist, you know, for people, you know.
And, you know, you definitely carry some of the influences of your past bands with you on your music. I mean, we could hear your new album, Infernum in Terra, Hell on Earth. Do you think we're living Hell on Earth now?
Well, there was two things that influenced that title. The first quick explanation is that we were approaching the 10-year anniversary of our first record, which was called And Hell Will Follow Me. So I definitely wanted a title that had the word hell in it. Same time, I started sketching these ideas in January of 2020. I'm in New York. So by the time we were in March, we were already dealing with shutdowns. My kids were forced to stay home after March 17th from school, watching the news, watching the news over there in Italy as well. So many people were passing away. Elderly people were dying, especially people with underlying conditions were dying. You were dealing with people dealing with financial ruin because their businesses would had to close, or people being just sent home and not being able to work, kids not being able to go to school, couples that used to have space were suddenly forced to be on top of each other, which nobody talks about the massive divorce rate and suicide rate that's happened, you know, in this last 18 months. So it seemed obvious to me that everyone was going through some type of hell, some kind of shitstorm. But again, Hell on Earth to me seemed too predictable. It seemed too simple to me. So I started saying, okay, why don't we let's futz around. And being that I'm always like inspired or enthralled by biblical stuff and satanic stuff, I got the translation in Latin.
There you go.
I said, all right, typed in Hell on Earth and came back to me in Latin, Infernum in Terra. And I was like, this is great. This is going to provoke thought, interest, curiosity. It's going to make people Google it and look it up and be like, what the hell does that mean? You know? And it just kind of elevated the title intellectually in my eyes, that there was some more thought put into it, when really it's the same message I'm saying. It's Hell on Earth, you know, 10-year anniversary of our first record, And Hell Will Follow Me. And there's always been some type of correlation with hell, or, the darker side of things. So it was a perfect, and the way it looks written out, especially on the album cover, it's beautiful to me.
It is. So. And now you mentioned that Reflections of the Dead for you was one of the best doom songs you have simply ever written. So tell us about this song and why you feel that way.
It just fell out of the sky. The way I write is I don't sit there and hammer away nonstop. I did write sketches and came up with stuff when I was tracking in early 2020. Then I'm the kind of guy that'll walk away from it. I don't like beating myself up over stuff. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So here I am, I took 4 months off. Why? Because I'm a garage guru and I was working on a muscle car that I got. Okay, summer goes by, September rolls around, 2020, and I'm like, well, I need to, let's open up everything again and go through everything. And in the matter of October and November, I wrote 4 more songs instantly. Wow. So, for example, Shards of Glass was written in 5 minutes. Wow. The verse and the chorus came out with the melody instantly. Then later on, I fine-tuned the lyrics. What matters to me is the melody. So I'll literally make up I'll make up stuff, like words, just to get the melody. Reflections of the Dead was the last song I wrote, aside from working on soundscapes over the winter. And that song, I just basically picked up my guitar, and I plugged in, I put on my fuzzy pedal, and I just right away felt what I wanted to play, started playing it, and the 2 main riffs just came right then and there. And I was like, okay. And then I started working on, I threw down a rough pattern to play along to, and I started tracking it. And then the bridge came out the way it did. And then I instantly knew the melody it needed to be. Then the whole idea of the story of the song is someone that is a manic depressant, someone that is on the edge, happens to have this gift, as everyone has seen these movies like Sixth Sense. You can see the dead on the other side of the veil, right? So this person is able to see the dead, but the person's so miserable in the real world, and he or she is so enamored by the other dimension, and so that they want to cross over to just leave this cruel, raging world, basically. And so it is suicidal at the end. And the video, if you haven't seen it, the video correlates with the story really, really good. Mm-hmm. And the video was directed by a Swedish director named Joel Nilsson, who did our previous video. And the video was filmed in the forests outside of Gothenburg in Sweden.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because Sweden, I've been to Sweden, and Sweden has these incredible looking pine trees and forests that are so pure and not tainted by other non-indigenous plant life that makes things look all crazy. Like here in New York, we can have nice trees, but then they're taken over by these crazy vines from China. So the way these trees look, and the actress, she was so good. Mm-hmm. Nothing over the top, very simple, naturally pretty girl, no makeup. It wasn't about anything sexual in any way. It wasn't about sex appeal. It was about this girl going through these experiences. And the video, which we just broke last night, in 17 days so far, over 100,000 views. Wow. So it's doing really, really, really well. And I didn't expect that. So the video was a slam dunk. And the song for me it's got me inspired to, I've been already recording some other ideas for the next record. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so inspired by this doom vibe. And I just, it's hard to say it's the best I ever did, but it is one of the best, because then I want to top it next time around too. So I'm really proud of the song, and I think it's slow, it's grinding. If you close your eyes or if you watch the video, it just takes you on this ride.
And since we're talking about visuals and art, I got to ask about the cover and the artist and what you wished it to depict and how it relates to the album.
Okay. This is a new artist that we're working with. Mm-hmm. I will say I did present the opportunity to the original artist that did the first 3 albums, but they respectfully declined. It was actually a blessing in disguise because I was already feeling inside things were starting to look the same to me anyway. Right. So I put the word out there that I was looking for a new artist, and I got a lot of great artists submitting stuff to me, and I came across Kelvin Duran, who wrote to me, and he has a company called Serpent Tuck Studios out of Dublin, Ireland. For some reason, I like to work with Europeans all the time. He just happens to be from Dublin, Ireland, and I looked at his work, and I'm a big fan of all this type of line art, engraving type of artwork that you would find out of like 15th century, 16th century books, like especially when you have books that depict witch trials and religious stuff from back then. It was all done black and white, just line art. And I told him what I liked. I gave him the title. He came back to me with some rough sketches of what was the cover. And this figure in the middle. And at first, the figure was holding an upright cross with a horseshoe on it. And I was blown away by it. I was like, this is so apocalyptic, biblical, but yet we have this evil figure. I said, though, I want to change one thing, though. I said, can we invert the cross and put the horseshoe on the other end? And we will title it, we will give it a new name, and it will be called the Lucifix. So, half crucifix, half Lucifer. So I called it the Lucifix. So that's my new cross that I'll be using from now on. I thought it was off the hook. It was time to change things up because everyone gets it. Look, we're called a pale horse named Death. I can't have a horse on every album cover. Right. Although there is the little horse shield on the what looks like a Bible that the figure is holding, there is little, and on the back cover, very small, you'll see that shield. But everyone gets it. Anyone that knows the band, or you look at anything else in the band, you'll find these elements. But it was time to turn the page and give some new, fresh artwork that goes with this music.
And Sal, if people want to learn more about the band, what are the best websites to go to?
Well, of course, it seems like these days social media overpowers the .com website. We do have a website that's current and has the latest stuff and how you can order the splatter vinyls that we have. We have 2 versions of splatter vinyls, which are very cool. www.apalehorsenamedeath.com. But then, of course, we have facebook.com/APHND. Instagram.com/APHND and Twitter.com/APHND.
Well, there you guys go. A Pale Horse Named Death has a new album out off of SPV called Infernum in Terra. We will be hearing a few songs off the album tonight. And Sal, thank you for taking the time to do this interview with us tonight. And all the best to you and the band.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate you doing this with me as well.